Desperation makes you do ridiculous things, like logging onto an encrypted, invite-only dark web service at 2 in the morning to rent a lethal weapon. I didn't just need a handsome date to make my cheating ex-fiancé choke on his vintage wedding champagne. I wanted an executioner. I wanted a man so blindingly powerful, so effortlessly terrifying, that his mere presence would turn a high society Hamptons wedding into a psychological slaughterhouse. What I thought I ordered was a high-tier actor with a polished smile and a temporary alias. What actually showed up at my penthouse door in the middle of a torrential downpour? I was Marcus Moretti, the cold-blooded king of the New York underworld. A man the FBI had been hunting for 3 solid years. The moment his winter gray eyes locked onto mine, the air inside my apartment turned to ice. He didn't smile. He didn't offer a polite introduction. He simply stepped inside, his presence radiating a raw, predatory dominance that made every primitive survival instinct in my body scream one terrifying truth: run. But I didn't run. I was too consumed by the intoxicating scent of rain, cedar, and raw authority. I clutched the gold-embossed wedding invitation in my trembling hand, looking at the monster I had accidentally hired.
The contract is for 48 hours, Mr. Moretti.
Marcus leaned in close, his fingers brushing against my chin, forcing me to look up into the storms of his eyes.
In my world, little bird, once you sign a contract with a Moretti, 48 hours can easily turn into an eternity.
Rain lashed violently against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Vivian Vance's Manhattan penthouse, mirroring the dark, suffocating storm currently brewing inside her chest. On her pristine white quartz kitchen island sat a heavy piece of cream-colored cardstock, its embossed gold lettering gleaming under the recessed lighting like a mockery. It was an invitation to the wedding of the season, Julian Pierce and Victoria Davenport. Julian was Vivian's ex-fiancé, who abruptly discarded her 8 months ago.
You are absolutely not going. It's a trap, Vivian. Victoria only sent this because she wants to see you weep. She wants to know she broke you.
I am going, but I am not going as the pathetic, heartbroken ex-girlfriend. If I walk into that cathedral alone, they win. I won't look like the scraps he left behind.
And what's your brilliant plan? Are you going to manifest a billionaire boyfriend?
No, I'm going to buy one.
Desperation is a powerful currency after midnight. By 2:15 a.m., she found the Gilded Shade. She browsed the profiles until she found him. No name was listed, only a serial number, M770. The photo displayed a man in the shadows, his jawline carved from granite. But it was his eyes that arrested her, a chilling pale gray like a winter sky. Vivian didn't hesitate. She entered her credit card details and shut the laptop.
God forgive me. Let's see if Julian can handle the shadow.
The storm reached its peak at precisely 4 o'clock the following afternoon. Vivian stood in her living room, dressed in a form-fitting emerald green dress that pooled around her black silk stiletto heels. Her hair was pinned in a sophisticated chignon, a masterpiece of modern elegance, but her hands were like ice. A sharp, authoritative knock rattled the heavy oak front door. Vivian took a deep, steadying breath, smoothed the silk of her skirt, and pulled the door open. The man who stepped inside didn't just occupy the foyer. He completely redefined the space. He was 6'3" of corded muscle and controlled power, wearing a charcoal wool overcoat that bore the faint, fresh scent of rain and winter pine. When he pulled off his leather gloves, Vivian noticed his hands, large, heavily calloused, with thick knuckles that looked far more suited for a street brawl than a ballroom. He looked down at her, his winter gray eyes scanning her face with a clinical, predatory intensity.
Miss Vance?
His voice was a low, resonant baritone that vibrated through the floorboards, bypassing her ears to settle directly in her chest.
Yes, and you are...
Marcus.
He replied simply, shrugging off his heavy overcoat to reveal a custom-tailored Tom Ford suit beneath.
The agency said you required absolute discretion for a high society event. They explained the parameters. 48 hours in the Hamptons, an attentive partner, a convincing narrative. Is that correct?
Yes, my ex-fiancé is marrying into the Davenport family tomorrow. I need Julian to understand that discarding me was the most expensive mistake of his life. I need you to look at me like I am the only thing that matters in that room. And I need the rest of the guests to be too terrified of you to ask questions.
Terrified is my specialty, Miss Vance. But a convincing lie requires foundation. Tell me about the man we are going to break.
Vivian sat on the edge of the sofa, detailing Julian's arrogance, his corporate ambitions, and the calculated way he had broken their engagement via a text message while she was at her mother's funeral. As she spoke, Marcus's gray eyes grew darker, a chilling stillness claiming his massive frame.
He left you during a funeral, a weak move from a weak man. The contract is finalized, Vivian. Tomorrow, we show the Hamptons what happens when a weak man tries to play with fire.
The Davenport estate in Southampton was a sprawling fortress of white stone, manicured hedges, and high society security. Hundreds of luxury vehicles lined the private driveway, and the air was thick with the scent of expensive floral arrangements and champagne. Vivian sat in the back of Marcus's private armored SUV, her fingers digging into the leather seat.
You're tense.
Julian's family is deeply embedded in the shipping trade. They think they own this town.
They own dirt, Vivian.
He reached over, his large hand closing over her bare knee. The heat of his skin was electric.
Remember the narrative. I am in private equity, and you are the only woman I have ever allowed into my space.
The door was opened by a valet, and Marcus stepped out, offering his arm. Vivian slipped her hand into the crook of his elbow, the rock-solid muscles beneath his coat anchoring her panic. When they walked through the grand arched entrance, the ambient noise of the cocktail hour died a violent death. High society matriarchs lowered their champagne flutes. Corporate barons paused mid-sentence. They were staring at Marcus. He didn't move like a guest. He moved like a predator who had simply decided to survey his hunting grounds.
Vivian, you actually came. Melanie said you wouldn't have the courage.
Marcus stepped forward, his massive frame shielding her. The force of his authority forced Julian to take a humiliating step backward.
And you must be Julian. Vivian has mentioned you. Briefly, she described you as a temporary lapse in her judgment. I see she was entirely correct.
Victoria Davenport's face flushed a deep, ugly red under her expensive powder.
Who the hell are you? This is a private event for family and invited guests only.
I am Marcus Moretti, Marcus stated casually, his winter gray eyes pinning her in place.
And since my family provides 60% of the shipping security for your father's harbor docks in New Jersey, I suggest you adjust your tone, Miss Davenport, before I decide to audit your father's warehouse leases.
The name Moretti dropped into the marquee like a flashbang grenade. Julian's face went entirely white, his hand shaking so violently a drop of champagne spilled.
Moretti, Julian stammered. Vivian, how do you know a Moretti?
We met in Milan, Julian, Vivian said, her voice smooth and entirely cold.
Marcus handles the private equity firms that manage, well, everything your family tries to trade in. I spent too much time with boys who play at business when I should have been with a man who owns it.
Marcus's hand settled on the small of her back, his fingers possessive and warm.
If you will excuse us, Julian, my wife needs a fresh drink. Enjoy your wedding. It will likely be the last peaceful weekend your family enjoys in this state.
They walked toward the terrace, leaving Julian and Victoria frozen in the center of the floor.
You were magnificent, Vivian whispered as they stepped out into the cool sea breeze.
I wasn't acting, Vivian, Marcus said, his gray eyes locking onto hers in the dark.
Your ex-fiancé is a coward who disposes of women when he's done with them. My family doesn't work that way. Once a Moretti claims something, we protect it until the world burns.
He kissed her then, a bruising, hungry claim that shattered the last of her defenses. Vivian surrendered to the storm of his mouth, her fingers tangling in his dark hair. She had handed her life over to the king of the underworld. The weekend in the Hamptons didn't end with a polite checkout at the hotel. It ended with a tactical extraction. At 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, the security alarms erupted into a high-pitched scream. Vivian bolted from her bed, her heart hammering as the sound of muffled gunfire echoed from the driveway. Before she could scream, the door to her room was kicked open. Marcus stood there, his tailored suit discarded, wearing a blood-stained tactical vest, a custom assault rifle.
Stay behind me, Vivian.
He commanded her, his voice dropping into a lethal, protective register that brooked no rebellion.
Silas has the SUV idling at the back gate. The Davenport family didn't take my audit threat well. They hired Russian mercenaries to clean us both up before we could return to the city.
Russians.
Russians? Vivian gasped, her vision tunneling with terror.
They're sloppy shifters, little bird. They think numbers can overcome a Moretti. They're wrong.
He grabbed her wrist, his grip an unbreakable shackle of heat and iron. He guided her through the smoky corridors of the cottage. Silas was waiting at the service exit, his weapon clearing the path with surgical, terrifying precision. They launched themselves into the back of the armored Rolls-Royce Cullinan, just as an explosion shattered the front porch of the cottage. The vehicle tore down the dark highway toward Manhattan, the engine a low, powerful growl. Vivian sat trembling in the leather seats, looking at Marcus, who was calmly reloading his magazine.
Your 48 hours are officially concluded, Miss Vance. But the transaction has changed. Silas checked your apartment. The Russians have already tossed it. They know your name, and they know you are the variable that can destroy the Davenport alliance. Your old life is officially concluded.
I'm a prisoner.
You are my queen. And in my world, that means you stay beside the wolf until the execution is complete.
And in my world, that means you stay beside the wolf until the execution is complete. The Moretti residence in Westchester was a spacious, modern home perched along the riverside cliffs overlooking the Hudson River. Designed with bright glass and neutral stone finishes, the elegant house offered a quiet, private retreat away from the busy city. Vivian resided in a bright, beautifully decorated private suite. A sturdy oak door connected her suite to Marcus's study, remaining closed during daytime hours to maintain a comfortable sense of personal space. One peaceful afternoon, Vivian relaxed in the sunlit glass conservatory, reading a textbook to occupy her mind. Silas stopped by to share a simple update regarding mutual acquaintances.
Two families we know have recently parted ways on a joint business venture. A small financial inconsistency was discovered, and the head of one family is rearranging their assets to settle the matter amicably.
What about Julian?
He's laying low for a little while, staying at a quiet property outside the city, waiting for all the misunderstandings to resolve naturally.
He doesn't really understand Marcus.
Very few people do, Mrs. Moretti. Marcus has always been quiet and composed when handling family and business matters. But ever since the gathering at the gala, he's been far more mindful and attentive. He often checks on this wing of the house late at night, just to ensure everything is peaceful and you're resting well.
A gentle warmth filled Vivian's heart. Marcus was a dependable, grounded man who took his responsibilities seriously. He had shouldered countless family obligations from a young age, always carrying his burdens quietly and gracefully. Later that night, the oak door between their spaces opened gently. Marcus entered her suite, looking tired after a long day of work. He stood quietly for a moment, then took a soft black velvet ribbon from his pocket and gently covered his eyes with it.
Why do you still wear that around me, Marcus?
She lightly brushed her fingers over the soft knot at the back of his head.
Our formal arrangement is long over, and all our complicated days are behind us now.
Because when I truly look at you, you bring a calm, pure warmth to my busy life. I've spent so long focused on endless responsibilities, I've grown deeply grateful for your presence.
Then stop overthinking it. Just embrace the peace we have now.
The monthly routine settled into a high-tension, addictive rhythm. Marcus would visit her bed only in the absolute dark, his blindfold a protective shield, taking her with a desperate, consuming passion that left no room for doubts. During the days, he was the cold, unyielding sovereign who managed a multi-million-dollar war. But the poison wasn't just coming from the outside.
We have a leak in the internal financial Sloan. Someone has been routing funds to the Russians.
Who authorization?
Anthony. He's been working with Julian Pierce to stage a coup.
The betrayal was a suffocating weight in Vivian's chest.
Bring Anthony to the outer hall. Tell him I need his signature. Do not let him know.
I am coming with you.
Vivian, this is a council matter.
The bullets were meant for me as much as you. I will stand beside the throne.
Marcus studied her face, recognizing the transformation into a lethal queen.
Very well, my lioness. Let us show the council what happens when you try to steal from the wolf.
The grand stone hall was dead quiet as Anthony Moretti entered, a forced, genial smile on his face. He looked like an ordinary businessman, not a monster who sanctioned the execution of his own brother. But his composure completely collapsed the moment Marcus threw the financial ledger at his feet. Raw, trembling terror replaced the mask of the accountant.
You sold the safety of my house for pieces of silver, Anthony. You opened the perimeter to mercenaries while my wife slept.
Marcus, please, it was a mistake. Sergio leveraged my debt.
You chose your greed over my bloodline. And in this family, that is a debt paid in only one currency.
Marcus nodded to Silas, and the warriors dragged the screaming traitor out. There was no trial. The message to the remaining captains was written in the snow. The king is not soft, and the queen handles the scales.
It is concluded.
The internal threat is gone, Marcus, but the city is still watching.
Let them watch. They are looking at an empire that can no longer be broken.
An empire built on blood and ruled by the wolf and the lioness. 6 months passed. The winter frost finally broke along the Hudson River, transforming the stony fortress into a sanctuary of life and spring. The black timber of the estate looked grand, the gardens blooming with wild rosemary and white roses. The transformation of the Moretti Syndicate was absolute, under Vivian's guidance and Marcus's strength. The organization shifted its resources into legitimate real estate, harbor infrastructure, and medical clinics. They built a world where strength wasn't measured by how many you could terrify, but by how many you could protect.
The captains have accepted the new treaties. They don't see you as a temporary guest anymore, Donna Vivian. They look at you as the true crown.
I didn't win their respect with a title, Silas.
Marcus was currently reviewing security maps. He looked different now. The stone mask was gone, replaced by a calm, immovable confidence. Marcus stepped out onto the terrace, his shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal his scarred forearms. He approached her from behind, his massive arms wrapping around her waist, pulling her back flush against his chest.
The council reports are completed. Come inside. The Japanese investors have arrived, and they require a translator who understands the nuances of our vocabulary.
I think they will understand us perfectly, Marcus. We speak the language of survival.
The dinner at the Gilded Obsidian that evening was a celebration of a new era. The crystal chandeliers cast brilliant shadows across the marble floors, but the underlying tension of a brewing war had completely vanished. Vivian sat at the head of the center table beside Marcus, dressed in a gown of midnight blue silk that pooled around her heels. She wore a platinum band with a teardrop-shaped black diamond on her finger, a symbol of a mating bond forged in fire. She wasn't an invisible girl hiding from her past anymore. She was the sovereign of the New York underground. Just thinking about how different things might have been, Vivian replied softly, looking out at the city lights. About how different my life would be if I hadn't misdialed that number at 2 in the morning. Marcus followed her gaze to the dance floor, where their allies were celebrating, safe and protected. Different but not better, Marcus murmured, pressing a tender kiss against her temple.
The kind we built, forged through hard choices and absolute trust, is the only kind that lasts. No regrets, Vivian?
No regrets, Marcus. The invisible girl was gone. The queen had taken her throne, and the story of Vivian Vance had gone from erased to invincible. She had proven that the ultimate authority belongs to the one who has the courage to stand firm. The long winter was finally over. The roses had grown back, and the table was full.